High above the arena, the man everyone still called Emperor Vieto watches with barely concealed horror as the sacred dark elf guardians, beings sworn never to bow to outsiders, drop to their knees before Roman Dmitri. Around the plaza, the gathered Valhallan warriors erupt into confused whispers. How could a reclusive tribe hidden away for generations recognize this outlander as anything at all? Some wonder if the ancient trial is already over before it even began. Others murmur that perhaps it's simply the influence of the world tree working through him. Roman offers no explanation. A thick violet aura curls around his frame as he stares down at the bowed guardians, his mind elsewhere entirely. He isn't interested in their reverence. He's interested in one question only: whether the fabled trial waiting behind these doors can actually measure up to the man he used to be. So he tells them plainly, if they truly believe he's the one they've been waiting for, then prove it. Let the trial begin, exactly as it was always meant to. The lead guardian hesitates for only a heartbeat before bowing his head and setting the ritual in motion. Chains wrapped in crackling pink energy tear apart around an ancient sealed chest, and the guardian lifts it high, warning Roman one final time to tread carefully into what comes next. The moment the seal breaks, a wave of dense crimson energy floods the arena, twisting and folding in on itself until it forms a towering silhouette. Behind Roman, the disguised Duke Vieto can only stare in disbelief. If this ritual is supposed to conjure a perfect double of the challenger, why does the shape taking form look nothing like the man standing before it? Then the crimson fog clears, and Roman's expression shifts into something between recognition and delight. Pale hair, a crushing, oppressive aura of dark purple energy. It isn't a copy of Roman Dmitri at all. It's a copy of who he used to be in a life the Guardians could never have known about. Baek Jung-hyuk, the legendary ruler of the heavenly demon sect. Neither of them hesitates. The two auras collide with a force that cracks the stone floor and sends shockwaves rippling through the plaza. For one suspended moment, it looks like an even fight, the past against the present. But it doesn't last. Fault lines of light spiderweb across the doppelganger's face as the sheer scale of Roman's current strength proves too much for the ancient magic to contain. The phantom shatters, its body collapsing into fragments before dissolving into a smoking puddle on the ruined stone. Watching it happen, the blindfolded guardian is left staring at the wreckage in stunned silence. Even a doppelganger, infused with the power of a legendary demon lord, couldn't survive contact with the real thing. As far as the trial is concerned, there's nothing left to argue about. Roman has passed, and somewhat disappointed by how quickly it ended, he turns without another word and walks toward the yawning entrance of the tomb. The guardians bow low as he steps past the threshold and begins his descent. Sunlight gives way to flickering torchlight, and the sound of his boots on stone echoes through a silence that feels older than the empire itself. At the bottom of the staircase, two colossal statues block his path, guardians carved from stone that stir to life the instant he approaches, their hollow eyes flaring with pale light, as a booming voice warns that anyone with impure motives will be barred from entry. But the same dark aura that shattered the doppelganger above rolls off Roman now, and the statues seem to sense exactly what he is. The voice changes its tone almost instantly, granting him passage as the massive doors grind open in a cloud of ancient dust. Inside, Roman finds himself in a wide, dimly lit chamber that opens into a corridor lined with towering shelves of forgotten books. He's found what he came for, not treasure, not power, but answers. Pulling a heavy, dust-covered tome from the shelf, he uncovers the name etched into its cover: Cornelis Valhalla, the Empire's founding emperor, the man who carved this very mausoleum out of the earth to preserve secrets he apparently didn't trust anyone else to protect. What Roman reads next reframes everything he thought he understood about this empire. According to Cornelis's own hand, Valhalla was never simply a proud warrior nation that clawed its way to dominance through strength alone. Though no army on the continent could beat them in open battle, their pride was broken the day the Kronos Empire showed up and revealed just a fraction of its true power. Rather than risk annihilation, Cornelis swallowed his pride and accepted a secret alliance, one built entirely on submission disguised as strength. Even Valhalla's infamous ranking system, the bloody trials that supposedly proved the Empire's warrior spirit, turns out to have been Kronos' idea from the start, a public spectacle designed to remind Valhalla exactly where it stood, while quietly letting Valhalla harvest the continent's strongest fighters for itself. It's a staggering revelation, but Roman knows immediately it isn't the whole story. This account explains nothing about the mysterious death of the Empire's most recent ruler, stern Valhalla, a death that, as far as Roman can tell, benefited absolutely no one. Someone else's hand is at work here, and the first Emperor's journal isn't going to name them. So Roman keeps searching, eventually pulling a second book from the shelves, this one belonging to Cortez Valhalla, the emperor who defied his entire court to place his youngest, least likely son on the throne. That book leads him to two very different stories. The first is about Cortez's eldest son, a boy who mastered swordsmanship the moment he picked up a blade and outmaneuvered the Empire's finest strategist in a single sitting, all before the age of 15. He was, by every account, exactly the kind of heir a warrior empire should have wanted, and that's precisely why he was executed. Roman stops cold at that line, turning it over with growing suspicion. An emperor doesn't spend pages praising a son's brilliance only to have him quietly put to death for possessing it, unless brilliance itself was the problem. The second story belongs to Stern, the son who actually took the throne, a frail, uninterested boy with no ambition and no desire to rule, chosen for the position precisely because he was the least likely to ever challenge anyone. But it's Stern's own private journal that truly unsettles Roman. The entries start calm and quickly spiral into something far darker, waking to unexplained horrors in his own bedchamber, tasting poison in food that should have been safe, hearing his door creak open in the dead of night with no one on the other side. Whatever was happening to Stern Valhalla, it wasn't politics. It was a slow, deliberate campaign to break a man who never wanted power in the first place, carried out by hands the journal never names. Piecing it together, Roman reaches a grim but clarifying conclusion. Stern wasn't a tyrant. He was a puppet, manipulated into ruin by someone patient enough to destroy him from the inside, and abandoned the instant rebellion broke out. If the full truth is still out of reach, there's one question Roman can answer without any more digging. Who actually profited from all of this suffering? He emerges from the tomb to a roaring crowd, warriors calling out that their outlander has returned, wondering aloud if the trials have awakened something greater in him. Vieto approaches with a warm, grandfatherly smile, asking if Roman found what he was looking for, and offering, a little too smoothly, to discuss sensitive matters, somewhere more private. Roman doesn't give him the chance. He tells Vieto plainly that the deeper he dug, the clearer it became exactly who benefited from Valhalla's blood-stained history, and then drops the pretense entirely, addressing him not as emperor but as duke. The mask falls instantly. Vieto's warm expression curdles into a slow, delighted grin as he raises a hand through his white hair, dropping the act he's clearly been wearing for a long time. He doesn't deny a single word. If anything, he seems almost impressed that Roman pieced it together from nothing but fragments in an old archive. Stepping closer, he asks how exactly Roman managed it, and Roman answers with a question of his own. Why place a fragile, unwilling boy like Stern on the throne in the first place? Vieto's answer is delivered with the kind of pride only a man who believes he's already won can manage. Stern had to be broken publicly, turned into a symbol the people could hate, so that when the empire finally collapsed under the weight of his failures, someone else could step in as its savior. Every piece, the rebellion, the black magic that slowly unraveled Stern's mind, all of it fell exactly where Vieto placed it. Every piece, except one. Roman himself, the variable nobody planned for. Before Roman can press further, a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes materializes behind Vieto, offering only a chilling explanation for why Roman was ever allowed into the tomb at all. It was simply for someone's amusement. Vieto, unbothered, gestures out toward the cheering crowd below and reminds Roman of the trap he's standing in. Kill the Emperor here, in front of everyone, and Roman becomes nothing but the villain who murdered Valhalla's savior. Their entire conversation, Vieto reveals with a mocking smile, has been sealed off from prying ears the whole time by a magic barrier. So go ahead, he taunts, and see what it costs. He never gets to finish enjoying his own cleverness. A gloved hand closes around his face before he can react, and Roman's voice cuts through the false emperor's smugness with a quiet, almost bored warning that he's badly miscalculated. There's no hesitation, no negotiation, just a violent surge of dark energy that ends Duke Vieto's carefully built lie in a single instant. It's a decisive, brutal end to a man who spent years manipulating an entire empire from the shadows. But as the dust settles over his body, one detail lingers far longer than his death does. The glowing red eyes that vanished into the dark just moments before, and the offhand admission that everything happening here was arranged purely for someone else's entertainment. Vieto may have been the face of Valhalla's ruin, but he was never the one truly pulling the strings, and whoever that is, they're still out there watching, and they haven't shown themselves yet.